Welcome back, it's me, Lou. So, a few weeks ago, that TV show, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, ended. And when it did, I was really excited for a Sam Wilson Captain America figure. And if you've seen some of my past videos, you'll see that I actually purchased two of them. I got a Marvel Select version, and I also got this one, the Disney Toy Box. So, the past few weeks, I've been slowly amassing a small collection of budget Avenger figures, such as the ones found in the new video game, like this original Sin Armor, Iron Man, just this Thor, this Captain America. But one line of budget figures I really like right now are the Avengers Mech Strike. And here's the Captain America. So one thing all these budget lines have in common is that the figures stand at about 5 inches to like 5.5 inches. They're smaller than the Marvel Legends action figures, which are, like here's a Marvel Legends figure. It's much taller. This is about a 6-inch scale figure, whereas this is 5.5. So as I'm amassing this small collection of budget Avengers figures, I'm kind of like, you know what? I'd love to have a Sam Wilson Captain America that would fit into this line. Now, I already know I have physical representation of the figure in toy form. Like I said, I have the Disney Toy Box one, which is a great figure. This is amazing. But the aesthetic of this, it's much smaller. It doesn't really flow with this toy line here. I have the Marvel Select one. Let me grab that real quick. Here's the Marvel Select Sam Wilson as Captain America. And you can see here, this figure is about 7 inches, whereas this one's over 5. So this one's actually, this one here is much taller, so this wouldn't fit into this line. Which brings us to these two figures. Okay, so I've been customizing action figures for like a lifetime now, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not sure if they're ever gonna make a budget 5.5-inch Sam Wilson as Captain America. So I'm like, you know what? Let's try making one. So this video is gonna be a custom. I'm gonna guide you through the process of how I'm gonna make a Sam Wilson Captain America. So I'm gonna, by the time all is said and done, we're gonna have a Sam Wilson Captain America that's gonna be about 5.5 inches and fit into these budget toy lines. So as we begin this process, the figures I'm using right now, I'm using a budget Falcon figure from Avengers Infinity War and a budget Captain America from the Avengers Mech Strike line. This toy line here came out back in, what was the year? Trying to find the copyright date on here. I don't see it, but I want to say this figure might have came out 2016 or 2017, I believe. So this figure is a little bit older. I actually bought this in a 3-figure lot that I found on eBay for a very reasonable price. And it was actually, the price altogether was actually cheaper than if I bought all 3 at retail when they first came out. So, I mean, if you want to make something like this figure, you're going to have to track down. And just be on the lookout because you don't want to pay too much for it. Because initially this figure ran for like about $9. But with the TV show being hot right now, I wouldn't be surprised if some eBay sellers or scalpers tried selling it for a lot more than that. So, and this figure is $9. Got this at Walmart. Alright, so one thing with customizing action figures is that if you've been doing it long enough, you'll amass a small collection of bits and pieces from different figures. And, I might have a hand here or a hand there. Might have different heads laying around in a box or different bodies even. But for this one, I want to try to get as close as possible as I can. Not necessarily to create a screen accurate Sam Wilson as Captain America, but just something that, for me, it's passable, that'll work. And I'm thinking that I'm going to use this as the base body, this Avengers Mech Strike Captain America, because I think this this costume looks awesome. It already kind of looks high-tech. You know, it could possibly be like some armored tactical flight suit. And I'm going to see if this head will work on this body. Now, the downside to customizing action figures is that, you know, does it make sense to sacrifice 2 figures to make 1 new figure? If it depends on how bad you want the figure. So I want Sam Wilson Captain America in this scale pretty bad. But I don't see this as sacrificing these 2 figures because, in all honesty, this body will go to, you know, my brand new figure, and with this Captain America head, I'll find a use for it. It's a cool sculpt, and I have a bunch of other Captain America figures, and, you know, maybe I could do a head swap or some sort of custom. So this head won't go to waste. Same with this body. I like this tactical, high-tech look of this bodysuit. So, you know, even though this body is no longer going to be the Falcon, I'll find a use for it. So, yeah. I mean, you don't want to, like, if I bought 6 different figures just to make 1 action figure and none of the other pieces were going to be salvageable, yes, that'd be a complete waste. But I have faith in my abilities to make a decent figure at the cost of these 2. And whatever's left over of these 2, I don't think it's going to go to waste. I'll find an appropriate use for it. So altogether, you know, the money spent is going to be well worth it, if that makes any sense. So yeah. So let's crack these open, take out the figures, and let's see what's gonna be needed to make my custom Sam Wilson Captain America action figure. Okay, here are both figures freed from their plastic cardboard prisons, and the first thing I want to do is I want to swap their heads, or at least remove the heads. I'm not going to swap them yet. So I could just pull them off, but I for one like to soften the plastic. So I like to use a hot cup of water, or let's dunk these in here for about a minute. Yeah, so this will soften the plastic, and then I can just pop the heads off. With a lot of Marvel Legends figures nowadays, you know, they might come with an extra head they can swap out, and I don't mind doing that, but it kind of stretches the plastic, and then when you put the head on, after a while, it maybe gets a little bit loose. So I just like to soften the plastic first, so, you know, it'll pop off easier, and then as it cools down, it'll kind of reset it to its original size. Okay, that should be, let me see if this is long enough. Alright, the last thing I want to do is spill this boiling water, like, on my crotch, and that'd be horrible to burn my nuts over the fact that I was trying to make a custom figure. Right, yeah, so this head's popped off really easily. Let's get these figures out here. So that popped off, and here's this one. See, it just pops off real simple. Okay, now that I'm looking at this, so comparing the ball joints, alright, the Cap ball joint's definitely a lot larger than Falcon, which is a good thing because that means this is a smaller hole since this is much bigger. So what that means is let me submerge this in hot water again, because I want to soften up even further before I try placing it on here. Alright, so I'll take this, boiling hot water, I'll just submerge it. And in the meantime, while that's softening up, let's look at the back. So Cap here had a hole in the back. That was to plug his shield in here. Falcon had a hole in his back to plug the backpack. Now, if you look at the holes, they're actually different. This one kind of looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is 6-sided. It's not a perfect circle. This hole here has a flatter top. So this won't plug in unless I modify it. So I have 2 choices. I can either shave the peg down, or I could drill out the hole a little bit bigger. What I'll probably do is I'll probably drill out the hole a little bit bigger. My concern is I'm not sure how thick this plastic is. So my fear is that once I drill out the hole bigger, is that I'm going to lose the plastic on the interior of this. and this might be a little bit too loose. And if that's the case, I might have to resort to actually just gluing this in. But that shouldn't be too much of a problem. I'll just make sure as I drill into this, I'll just go slightly larger. I won't use a larger drill bit because I do want this to be a little bit snug in the back. Okay, so this head should be soft by now. Let's see if I can fish it out without burning myself. Move this aside. Alright, so the head's really soft now. The plastic's a lot more pliable. Now, if I place it on... this is a really big ball joint. And this is a little bit smaller, so it might be a snugger fit. And it might stretch the head out a little. Okay, so now we run into the next issue. The neck is too long. Alright, so I don't think this figure is going to look right if the neck's that long. So that's okay. Alright, so what I'm going to do next, I'll probably do this off camera because I don't trust myself to do it on camera. Or I might try it. I'm going to take a Dremel and I'm going to cut off, I don't want to cut off too much. I want to start small, then work my way down. So at the very least, just eyeballing it, I might just cut the ball joint off so that the head sits flush on there. And should, if I'm eyeballing this correctly, it should give me enough neck where it looks semi-natural, like that. Okay, so I'm gonna go grab my Dremel and we'll do that. Yeah, so I'll be back in a second. Okay, I'm back with the tools I need. So in addition to grabbing my my Dremel, I grabbed this. I'll explain what this is for later. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off the ball joint. We'll start off with a slower speed. Alright, if you're under the age of like probably, I don't know, 14 or 12, you might need parental supervision or help with this. I'm a grown adult, and chances are I probably need parental supervision as I do this also. I could go faster, but yeah, let's go faster. All right. Okay, that went well, I think. I was kind of nervous. I don't know. I'm very accident prone, and you know, I'm looking at two different things at once. I'm looking at the monitor. I'm looking at the figure, and I'm not really paying attention to the Dremel. So, I mean, you're talking to a guy. I had to go to the emergency room because I was trying to slice a loaf of bread once, and then the knife. It was a giant knife, and the loaf of bread. It was kind of. It was kind of. It's not that it was stale, but it was a lot stiffer, and the giant knife slipped, and it cut this finger, and the knife. It cut through the finger. Like, let's pretend this is the blade of the knife. It like cut my finger, and the reason why it stopped is because the blade hit the bone. And then I like had to call my brother. I'm like, I'm really hurt. You need to take me to the emergency room. So he had to drive me to the hospital. Okay, so I'm gonna unplug this real quick. 'Cause knowing me, I'm gonna like trip and accidentally switch this. It's gonna fall on my balls, and I'll have to go to the hospital. Okay, so, alright, so we cut this off, and awesome. So this is where the head's going to sit. I think the head's a little high up. I probably could shave another, I could probably shave off just a little bit more, but I don't think that's bad. I'm kind of worried if I shave too much, it'll bring his head down even a little bit more, and then it won't look right. So I'd rather give him a longer neck to give him the appearance that he's a little bit slimmer guy than a shorter neck and make him look stocky. And I brought this out too. So my initial thought was, so this is a drywall screw. So my initial thought was, if I cut this off and there was just a large gaping hole, I like to say gaping hole, I'd use the anchor on the inside. So the screw is going to replace this lost cut off ball joint. And here's the head, and there's the socket. And if you look, this isn't going to go in easy. So if I heat this up, it'll stretch out and the screw will fit in. So I'm going to take this and screw this on here, and voila, I'll have a new ball joint for this to sit on. Part of me is contemplating whether or not I want to. You're not going to see this part of the head or the neck, but my OCD is getting kind of nuts, and I'm kind of wondering if I should just cut this so it's a little bit flat and clean and even, but I might lose some of the plastic, and I kind of need as much plastic as possible to fit this on here. And since this figure has no ab crunch and no waist swivel, it's probably safe to assume there's not a whole lot going on the inside. So even though this screw is kind of long, I don't think it should interfere with anything once I start screwing this in here, I think. Ideally, I probably should use a shorter screw, or I could even cut this one. But my history with power tools is very questionable, so I'll leave it as it is for now. I'm gonna go grab a screwdriver. It's a couple feet away, and I'll be back in a second. So just bear with me. Let me go grab it real quick. Alright, so I got a screwdriver. It's a Phillips head. Alright, let's try to get this so it's at least straight. Right. Okay, looks kind of straight there, a little off there, off. Right, it's screwing in pretty easy. And if you're wondering, I've done this before. I used screws as a replacement head posts for that custom trio of Green Lanterns I made out of the McFarlane figures. Alright, feels like it's getting a little bit tighter. I'm not sure if it's hitting something. And it's getting a little bit off-centered. Let's try to straighten it out again. Loosen it up. Push it this way a little. Now it might be reaching off-center because it might be hitting something on the inside. Yeah, I'm hearing it. It's definitely hitting something. I hear something clicking. It might not go straight, so I might just have to accept that. Alright, now it's... So I think I want to get this as far down as possible. Alright, so at this point in time, if I'm making any mistakes that... You know, there's kind of like the point of no return. So if I ruin a $10 action figure, I'm going to ruin a $10 action figure. But all right, yeah, it's definitely hitting something on the inside. Is it? All right, the arms still move. So I'm not sure if there's a peg on the inside. I'm not sure how long the pegs of the arm are, how far they go in. So it's quite possible the screw's length might be hitting something. Let me grab my other. I have another one of these. All right, maybe not. All right, this figure is the joints are very tight also on the rotation. So yeah, it's not really effed up yet. I'm trying to decide if I want. Right. So if I'm trying to figure out how high I need this to have, so the head will be situated correctly. Let's go all the way down. Alright, so at this point, the screw is sitting flush with the neck. I don't want to tighten it too much because I don't want to strip out the plastic. Alright, so I'm going to pause it, grab some hot water again, and submerge this head, soften the plastic, and we're going to plop this on here. Yeah, that's the next plan. Okay, so I'm going to pause the recording and I'll be back in a moment. Okay, I'm back. Ran out real quick. Got some hot boiling water and we're going to submerge this head here for a little bit just to soften up the plastic. Because as I stated before, the socket here is a lot smaller than the screw, which is good because then once this goes on, it'll be a tight, snug fit. So there we go. We're going to let that hang out there for a little bit. So this cap head, I'm kind of thinking what I might do later. I have another, I don't know if this is the same size or not. I kind of like the really large A on here. I might take this head off, maybe swap this head on. Maybe. Or I can find another figure to use it on. But this head's not going to go to waste. And then there's the question of what I'm going to do with the Falcon body. Alright, so I was looking through I have this like little container of just like heads, you know. And I found this. It's a G.I. Joe classified roadblock head. Now, I'm not just using it because, you know, black body, black head. It's too big anyways. But part of me is convinced that they used Anthony Mackie as this model, because if you look at it carefully and if you cover up the sideburns, the side of his beard, it kind of looks like Anthony Mackie. I'm not just saying that, right? So, and I could just say, hey, this is his stunt double or something, but the ball joint here, it's too small and the head looks too big. So, I don't know. We'll just forget that I mentioned it. Maybe down the road I might use it. Because I really want to use this head for a custom, and I want to use this body for something. Because I like this armor look a lot. I don't know. I'll decide later. And what I do, I'll let you know. I mean, I have this head. Will this fit? No, this doesn't fit either. So. Yeah, but this body won't go to waste. I will use it for a custom. Alright, so that should be long enough for this guy. The plastic should be nice and soft and pliable. Let's fish him out without burning my hand. Alright, so the plastic, see, it's pliable, it flexes, there's a lot of give, and it pops right on. And so, if there's two ways I could go back. You let this cool in the air, but I'm just gonna throw this in the freezer and let it cool. And it'll contract the plastic, and it'll be a nice tight fit. Now that doesn't mean that it's guaranteed to stay on here. Depending on how far and how deep the new peg goes into the socket, it'll really dictate you know, how tight this is. But I just want this to be on here. I'm not going to necessarily play with it. So we have this. So if you can use your imagination, the wings are going to go on. The backpack, I'll figure out a way to put the backpack on. I'll probably drill out a hole, and this will plug in here, and then he'll have wings. So let me get that in frame. And he'll have a shield. So it's going to be something like this. That's essentially going to be the goal. Now, where's the toy box figure? Alright, so here's a toy box wings. And then here's a toy box figure. Now, if you notice, there's a lot of white on this costume. So I'm going to add some white to... I'm going to repaint parts of this body. The wings, there's more blue than there is red. So what I'm probably end up doing... This isn't going to be screen accurate, but once it's done, it'll be a nice addition to, you know, those budget 5.5-inch figures. You know, I want it to fit well with, like, this line of toys. So I'm going to take blue, and I'm going to paint these red parts blue. Maybe add some white along the top and a little bit of red trim. And I'm not going to match this in terms of the colors. Like, one of the reasons why I like this figure so much is that it's a much harder plastic. It's not a soft, like the body, torso is a hard plastic. The arms are softer plastic, but this harder plastic is going to be great. I love this kind of surface for painting. Unlike some of the Marvel Legends figures where I think they're a little bit of softer plastic. But for me, it's a nice hard surface. The surface, there's a lot of surface area. And when I paint it, I'm gonna start off with a primer. So if you're new to customizing, I'd recommend using acrylic paints, not enamel. Acrylics are easy to work with. If they're too thick, you can water them down and get a nice... You want a nice milky consistency. But never apply the paint directly to the plastic. It needs something to adhere. The paint needs something to adhere to. You know, if you paint it directly on the plastic, once the paint dries, it's not permanently on there. You can easily probably just scratch it off. That's why you want to use a primer. In this case, I'm using Model Master. This is a gray primer. This ran me $3.99 at Hobby Lobby. So a primer provides adhesion onto the plastic, and this doesn't. It'll take a lot more to just scratch this off. So once you cover the certain areas you want with primer, you can apply the paint onto it, and the paint it'll have more durability than if it was painted directly on the plastic. So you want that adhesion, so you need to use a primer. In terms of the paints I'm using, I just grabbed whatever was available in my paint supplies. I'm not sure if these are perfect matches or if these are the best choices. But for me, I'm not too picky. All I know is that I want a bold, strong red. So I have this Citadel Mephiston red. I've been into Warhammer models lately, so that's why I've been using these. And this is Army Painter D&D Dragonfire red. I'm going to take a look and see which one I like more. This one looks a little bit lighter, a little bit brighter. This one's thicker. Might have to water it down, but I think I like the shade of this red better, so I might go this route. In terms of the blue, I'm going to go with this Army Painter D&D Kraken blue. It's a darker, I think it's a deeper blue too. It's not a match, but for what I want to do, it's fine. I'm not looking to like make, this most perfect action figure ever. And for white, I'm using Lawful White. This is a D&D by Army Painter. Always shake your paints. And whatever parts I'm going to do white, I'm going to paint white. I'm going to try to avoid the certain parts of the joint where I anticipate paint rub. And when I say paint rub or joint rub, that means like when you move certain plastics, they're going to rub together. And if they're painted surfaces, the paint's going to scratch off. And one thing I like about this figure is that where the arm socket is, there's a nice large gap. So I don't have to worry about paint rub too much. But I don't want to get too crazy with this figure. For me, this is more about just creating a nice display piece. So I'm probably going to paint parts of his... It looks like his shoulder pads here are silver, so I might have to paint those silver. I'm going to be selective about what I paint white. Now, it's not going to look completely accurate to this or accurate to the show, but I want to get enough white on here so that by the time all said and done, you can look at this guy and go, that's the Sam Wilson Captain America figure or character. I'm going to add some white and red on his torso to give him the stripes. So yeah, that's the plan. So I think I'm just going to make this a two-part video. This is going to end part 1. Part 2, I don't think I want to document the whole painting process. I probably really need to focus painting. I don't want to have my attention drawn out to two different things. So we'll make the second part, you know, where a little bit more about the painting. But for now, this part 1, this is just about getting the figure set up. So I hope you pulled something away from this video. I've made customs before, but I've never actually documented the process like this on video. So if you have any questions, just leave a comment below and I'll try to answer it. Otherwise, I hope you found this informative. And I will talk to you later. Take care.